Loved him so, so much. It happened so fast, or well, kind of seemed that way anyway. The fights just kept escalating. The blowouts were just that. They were like these huge blowouts. The screaming was every day, and the constant manipulation. I met and fell in love with a DJ. Not just any DJ, a rave DJ. This was like the early 2000s. Think back to like Jankos, UFOs, those candy bracelets up to your arms, up to your elbows. You get the picture. I met him online on a website called ratemypic.com. Yeah, it was as ridiculous as it sounds, but it was the validation that we had before even MySpace, before Facebook, Instagram, any of that. It's where you post your picture and you'd want people to rate you like a 10, obviously. He messaged me first. I clicked on his profile and I was like, I know that name from somewhere. I'm thinking, oh wait, it hit me. He's one of he had spun at a couple of parties that we had been to. A little little corner of the rave scene, DJs were like celebrities, or so I thought anyway. Started chatting, and I remember asking him, do you have a girlfriend? He said, nope, and I believed him. After we hung out for that first time, it was a wrap for me. I was smitten. After all, he was a rave DJ, and he was super cute. Of course, it became sexual right away. I really did start to like him. I thought he started to like me too. Not much longer after we met, I ran into another one of my party friends, and I brought him up, and she said, Jimmy had a girlfriend. And I was like, there's no way. Or is there? I remember making it a point to go to every single party he was spinning at. I never saw a girl with him. Never saw a girl with him. But then again, I'm thinking to myself, I'm not there with him either. At this point, had been a couple months since we started hanging out, and I just couldn't avoid it anymore. I needed to confront him, so I did. What was his answer? Yes, I do, but it's not like that. It's not like what, Jimmy? It's not like what? I should have just done the right thing at that point and just walked away. I should have just walked away, but I didn't. I really, really did like him, and we had a lot of fun together. And I thought that maybe if we had enough fun, like, he would change his mind and decide ultimately he wanted to be with me and not with this mysterious girl that was never around. You have to forgive me because I was 19. Not that that's an excuse, because it's absolutely not, but I mean, I've learned a lot since I was 19. I was like literally living a fantasy that went on and on and on and on for 2+ years after that time. I did learn more about his girlfriend. I learned that they were dating all throughout high school and just stayed together, and that they were pretty much the most polar of opposites they could be. Jimmy and I had a lot in common. We like to party, we like to get high, and we like to party some more. And his girlfriend, I used to laugh and say that she was in bed by 8 o'clock every night. But I wasn't joking. She probably was. I don't think she had any idea what he did after 8 p.m. I don't honestly think she cared. She was never around. This went on for the next 2+ years. When I say I was at this man's beck and call, I was at this man's beck and call. Whenever. All the time. And he definitely took advantage of that. I distinctly remember this one night, Jimmy calling me. He was in Boston, which is like 3.5 hours from where I live. And he tells me that he needs a ride home. I said, okay, this is at like 4 a.m. What do? I hopped in my car and drove to Boston to pick him up. I had to get him home so bad, in such a hurry, as he had plans to go somewhere that day with his girlfriend. My poor heart. I really felt for him. It seemed as if he had fallen for me too. I so much wanted to be with him. I was literally willing and allowing myself to be the quote-unquote other woman for that entire 2+ years. Soon after, he decided he was going to move to Florida with her. He wanted to further his schooling, taking her with him. And my poor heart again. I remember being so super depressed. He promised me we'd keep in contact and we'd see each other whenever he came home to visit. A few months after moving there, he had asked me to come down for the weekend, and he would stay with me. He told his girlfriend he had some work thing to do or something. He was going to be away for the weekend. So he spent those 2 days with me. I couldn't afford the last minute's plane fare, but I wanted to see him so bad. I fucking hopped on a Greyhound bus to see him. It ended up being a 27-hour trip each way. You gotta do what you gotta do. I was so embarrassed that I had taken the bus. I actually took a cab from the bus terminal to the airport and had him pick me up at the airport as if I had just flown in. Those days were filled with lots of laughs and fun and a lot of sex. Who would have thunk it? I left even more confused and heartbroken than ever. It wasn't long before he called me to tell me that him and his girlfriend were breaking up and that she was moving home, and asked me to come down there and move in with him. Like, immediately. What do? I was down there within days. This is what I always wanted. Or so I thought. The next month-ish, I lived what I'd call a real fantasy. We fought a lot. I ended up getting pregnant. And I'm not even sure if he even fucking believed that. But we fought so bad. Ended up kicking me out and sending me home. He sent me packing. So I had to come home. I didn't end up keeping the baby, and I was so super depressed. So we just didn't speak after that. I was like super depressed. I found out not long after that he had flown another girl that lived up here down there to be with him. This is the girl he actually was messing around with before he met me. Now she was living down there, living my dream, or what I thought was my dream, and I'm at home wondering where everything went wrong. My heart was so broken. The relationship lasted about 6 months, him and her. 6 months later, he reached out to me and said that he sent her home because he missed me. Who moves back there immediately? I do. This time I ended up staying for the duration of his staying in Florida. It ended up being about a year. I ended up enrolling back in school, and we just waited for his school to wrap up and decided we both wanted to move home. We had no life down there. We went out one night. We had one incident, and we went out and decided to drink. Bad idea. That was the worst idea actually ever. Ended up in jail that night. That episode's to come later on. But fast forward, we decided we both wanted to move home. So we packed up whatever we owned and moved home. And for the next 2 years, we remained together. The next 2 years, we managed to put up with each other. And I say that literally put up with each other. I was convinced that we were truly in love. Looking back, to be honest, we were actually just really codependent. And we did not trust one another, like, at all. We were never on the same page. I'm not even sure we even really liked each other, to be honest with you. We had no friends that were not both of our friends. Like, there was no him hanging out with the boys or me hanging out with the girls without the other one tagging along. We had no space to breathe, no outlets. The only outlet we had was each other. I had him and he had me, or so I thought, and that was it. This was an obviously toxic and unhealthy relationship that I knew was that, but I wanted so bad. I thought this man was my forever. I thought we were going to be together forever. And like, I don't know. I loved him so much. It happened so fast, or well, kind of seemed that way anyway. The fights just kept escalating. The blowouts were just that. They were like these huge blowouts. The screaming was every day. And the constant manipulation. I'm not blaming him because it was both of us. Sometimes it got physical. We both got physical. There would be whole weekends where he'd just disappear. We'd get in a fight on like a Friday, and he would take off and stay gone the whole weekend with his phone off. I'd be calling all weekend, just driving around looking for him like a maniac. I'd be checking in where I thought he could be, like a psycho. Just kept calling, and I didn't sleep much those weekends. I still to this day don't know what happened, where he went, but I know what I didn't do. I never did anything that would harm a relationship. To this day, I don't know where he went or who he was with any of those times. And yet, I still loved him so much. Our relationship wasn't all bad. He was very good to my dad. They got super close. He would go to my dad's house like after work and help my dad with whatever he needed around the house, yard work, just like anything, because my dad couldn't do any of that stuff because of the condition he was in. He would like mow the lawn, and sometimes my dad wouldn't even have to ask him, but he would just do it, and he did it happily. My dad really liked Jimmy. Him and I spent literally almost every night at my dad and stepmom's place. She'd always cook dinner. She's a good cook. Literally, we lived 10 houses down, so we were there all the time. We would have like a family game night once a week for a while. That was fun. My brother and his wife would come. My uncle would be up sometime from Long Island. My dad taught me and Jimmy a game called Squeak. I can't remember now how to play it, but we used to love that game, and it gets so competitive. We'd sometimes get my drunk stepmom playing. We had a lot of fun. My dad really appreciated me being there. Like, I got super close to my dad during that time too. My dad adored Jimmy. He really did, and Jimmy loved my dad. My dad referred to Jimmy as family, like another son, and Jimmy looked at my dad like that too. I think Jimmy resented never having a father figure of his own, which he didn't. When Jimmy and I finally ended it, I remember I quote my dad when he said, "It's like, I feel like I'm breaking up with him too." All that just wasn't enough. The last fight we got into, it was downright, like, ugly. Physical. He left, we went to a concert. I think, it's kind of blurry this night, but I think we went to a concert, ended up, he was drinking, so I said, I'm going to drink too. That was a bad idea. We went to a concert. After the concert, we were fighting. Ended up leaving. It was really late. The argument we had was crazy. So he took off again, like he often did, disappeared. One was off once again, left me by myself, and it was just the same toxic cycle as it had always been. This time it was a little bit different. The next morning came, he still hadn't come home for work, and at the time we were working at the same company, so we would go into work together. And I woke up or whatever, and he wasn't there. I knew it was over. Went to work that day. Sure enough, I came home after work, and the entire apartment was cleaned out, except for my stuff, which wasn't a lot, the kitchen plates and shit, and his dog. So he technically not only left me, he left her, his dog, when I met him. So 2 whole years had passed before I heard from him again. Those years felt like an eternity. He all but disappeared. I knew our friends knew where he was, but I didn't want to drag them in the middle by ask them, because they did not want to get in the middle, and they would make sure that they didn't invite us to the same place. Like, he'd go to one party, I'd go to the next party. I was a mess for those 2 years. I tried to find some kind of one-sided closure, but I'd be lying if I said that it was not at the forefront of my brain every single day. Where did we go wrong? Where did this love fail? All the things we had been through, and he went on with his life as it never happened, as if I had not existed. Or so I thought. It wasn't but a couple months after we finally split that I found out he had gotten somebody pregnant, and that they were keeping it. Some girl from his job. I remember being so numb at that point. I just was devastated. We had not spoken in a full 2 years when I received an anonymous email that simply said, "I miss you this time of year." And it was Christmas time. An email, no subject, no signature, had no idea who it was coming from, just those 7 words. I never in a million years thought that it was him. I figured that he had completely forgotten about me and his dog. He never came back for his dog. After all, he had started the family we always wanted, it just without me. After a few back and forth emails, I established it was in fact Jimmy. Talked, and then just silence again. He reached out to me again in 2011, 2 years after the anonymous Christmas email. This time we actually made plans to see each other once he came up to visit, because he was now living in Florida again. So we ended up seeing each other. I don't know why, but we ended up having sex. This was the first time ever I had felt absolutely nothing for this man. Not love, not hate, nothing. Finally, after years of heartbreak, years of chasing and waiting and wanting, years of trying to make something with someone who probably never really cared about me, that nothing felt so freeing. I can't really explain it. As the years have come and gone, every so often Jimmy reaches out. It's the same old story every single time. This is me, he's thinking about me, whatever. Always when things weren't going right in his life. Always when he needed something, or someone, should I say, to remember him, to remind him of who he used to be. All while he was supposedly happily married to the same girl he got pregnant right after we broke up. We went on to have a life together, have a bunch more kids without me. And still, I was the one he texted, when he said he missed, quote, never stopped thinking about. One of the times he reached out was 2011. I remember he had just moved from Alabama to Utah, I believe, and he had sold his house in Alabama, and apparently he had to go back there to fix up a few things, so he flew in from Utah and wanted me to meet him in Alabama, and stay with him while he was fixing his house. He pulled the comment, "I missed you" card, said he really wanted to see me, but my dog Roxy at the time was super sick, couldn't leave. It was a blessing in disguise, because that's when I got Franklin. Fast forward to January 2024. I lost my dad. Just like that, ironically, Jimmy appeared again. I don't know what's up. That was some pretty good timing. He messaged me, called me, checked in. He made sure I was hanging in there, and it just felt comfortable. He knew my father so well. I could talk about my dad, and he was able to understand, and it was exactly what I needed. As much as he couldn't be there physically, he was there. I needed someone, and he filled that position at that time. For a minute, it felt comforting, like familiar, like closure. If only my dad was still here. It wasn't comforting all that long. Our conversation soon shortened. The text message all but stopped. It faded. He faded, just like it did every other time. Again in January 2025, this past year. Like clockwork, Jimmy came back around again. This time, he said his marriage was over. He said he was done. He said he wanted to see me. I quote him when he said, after all these years, it's been just shy of 18, and all that's happened, here I am on the phone and desperately wanting to see you. Music to my ears? Not quite anymore. I still entertained it though. Don't know what I was feeling, I really don't. He wanted to come home for the weekend and stay with me, because he was still living in Utah. Just us, no one else, no explanations, like old times, he said. And I was gonna do it. I really don't know why. I really don't know why. Not because I didn't know better, not because I'm desperate for companionship, not because I was still so in love with a fantasy that has never come true. Just because it was him, I still could not say no. Sometimes when your heart's been alone too long, even the wrong arms feel like safety. Maybe that had something to do with it. Maybe it didn't. Turned out, he couldn't come that weekend. Something with his kids, something with instructions from his divorce attorney stating if he left Utah, it would be considered abandoning his children. He didn't come. So were bygones going to be bygones? Nah. Instead, he planned to come for the next weekend. Initially, I was trying to help him secure a flight and a rental car and whatever else. However, after the first weekend that he didn't come, when we were making plans for the second weekend, his tone completely changed, and I could feel a shift in his energy. I got this pit in my stomach that literally brought me back to 18 years ago. The same fucking pit in my stomach. He ended up booking everything himself and left me completely in the dark about what was going on. But he was coming. The anticipation was good and bad. But it was eating me alive. But he was finally coming, I guess. So, and what happened next? Well, that's a story for next time.